Congressman Joe Neguse is a Democrat from Colorado who was an impeachment manager for Trump's second impeachment for inciting insurrection on January 6th, and he joins me now. Congressman, it's good to have you. I think I know the answer to this question, but, like, you didn't know this, did you?
Good to be with you, Chris. No, I certainly wasn't aware of the reporting that was just announced earlier today. I mean, of course, I was there on January 6th, as were the vast majority of the impeachment managers. We knew the threat that was posed. I was on the floor of the House from 8 p.m. until 4 a.m. until we certified the election results. I can remember very vividly shaking Vice President Pence's hand in the early morning hours as we finally certified the election and discharged our duties. But no, I wasn't aware of the particulars, and it clearly underscores not just the danger that our republic was facing as a result of the president's actions and his acolytes, but the real threat and danger that was posed to the vice president himself in terms of his personal security. I agree with my friend Jamie Raskin. The reported words that the vice president uttered in that entire episode are some of the most chilling that I've seen in terms of what happened on January 6th.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to I'm glad that Mark Short has cooperated with the committee. I'm glad the committee knows this information. It's important, and I'm eagerly looking forward to the hearing. It would have helped during the impeachment hearing, I feel like. Am I crazy? If the vice president's people had been like, yeah, you know, the president did paint a big target on Mike President's back, and, like, the hang Mike Pence thing wasn't sort of an accident. Like, I think that could have had an effect.
You're certainly not wrong. I do think it would have had an effect. Clearly, the January 6th committee has had the benefit of time and the ability to have the space to conduct compulsory process and issue subpoenas and be able to propound document requests. It's one of the reasons why the hearings next week will be so important. But no, I agree with you. And look, I think part of the challenge here is you teed it up really well. Clearly, the former president, was impeached for inciting the attack on the Capitol. But the subtext was always this conspiracy to ultimately subvert the peaceful transfer of power. And you see that plainly in the Eastman emails. And I think one of the central threads that you've sort of begun to, and others, I think, are trying to trace is precisely what happened with respect to the vice president.
Yeah, I want to play this thing. I keep coming back to there's two things. There's something that your colleague Gallego said, Congressman Gallego said, and something that Pence said. Both the same thing, which is, like, don't leave the Capitol, right? Like, even though the security situation is bad, like, don't leave the Capitol. Here's how Ruben Gallego put it, and then I want to ask you a question. Take a listen.
I saw a bunch of buses pull up, and they were buses to evacuate us. And let me tell you, in coups, when you leave the Capitol, you've lost. And so I started texting every member I could in all of our text chains. I'm like, do not leave. Like, if they tell you to leave, like, do not leave. Like, you're safe for staying here. Like, we get on those buses. There's no guarantee we're ever coming back.
You know, that sounds scary and might hit some people's ears as hyperbolic. But what I keep coming back to, and which I don't think people truly appreciate, the violence and everything can be seen as an accident of everyone getting out ahead or as part of the plan. And that ultimately, to the extent that the Congress is not there or Mike Pence can't preside, the thing that Donald Trump wants to prevent can't happen.
I think you're precisely right, and I agree with my colleague, Representative Gallego. You know, we had spent weeks, Chris, preparing rebuttals to the objections that we knew would be made on January 6th. Myself, Representative Raskin, Chairman Schiff, and Chairwoman Lofgren. And one of the outstanding questions that bedeviled us throughout that entire process was, what would the vice president do? Would he discharge his duties faithfully, or would he subvert the Constitution, as the former president and his allies wanted him to do? And of course, one of the outstanding questions is, what happens if the vice president decides not to preside for nefarious reasons? And of course, you touched on this in terms of some of the reporting around the Senate pro tem, Senator Grassley, perhaps serving in that role rather than the vice president. So yes, I mean, clearly, we came very close to the brink, in my view, of losing our republic, the ability for our country to continue functioning as a constitutional republic. And I suspect we're going to learn a lot more starting next Thursday evening as the January 6th committee begins these public hearings and begins to kind of tell the story that so many Americans have not been able to quite yet see.
All right, Congressman Joe Neguse, as always, thank you for your time.
Thank you.